Hello to our Real Estate One family, our sales associates, and our employees. Happy New Year to all of you, and Happy New Year, Dan.
Happy New Year, Stu.
Hopefully we all had a happy, wonderful, and safe holiday season. And 2023 is now here. I can't believe that 22 is finished, but
We're into it, like
we're
it or
into
not,
it.
we're here.
So for today's video, what Dan and I want to do is to talk about 2022, kind of a summary of the year, the good, the bad, the ugly, and then get into 2023, what our forecasts are, how we see the market, and some of our initiatives for 23. Dan, let's get started with 2022.
All right.
From an economic standpoint, it was a year of surprises. You know, I think if we were sitting here a year ago looking at 22, the forecast, we'd say, well, you know, we've got a pretty strong economy. We got low inflation. We got low interest rates. Got a good, strong real estate market, and then inflation broke out, and I think it reached over 8%, and that's a problem. Obviously, the highest that it had been since the early 80s. So the Fed had to take action, and their action set off a chain of reaction of events that certainly impacted our business. So first, they increased Fed fund borrowing rates at record levels in terms of increases the speed of that increase. And that, along with just inflation in general, increased mortgage rates. We saw rates climb through the 5s, through the 6s, and even above 7%, which therefore made housing less affordable, and with rates more than doubling in a relatively short period of time.
And the value increases over the last 2 years. That combination just put it's kind of like throw a glass of ice water, at least in the industry's face, not necessarily for the consumers, but for the mortgage and the real estate side of things. It was, mid-year, it just was a steep change, which we hadn't really experienced in Michigan. We'd not experienced that fast a slowdown before.
Yeah, it started out, the first quarter was actually a pretty good quarter. Second quarter off a little bit. Third quarter off more, and then the fourth quarter was the rapid decline in business, and yet the overall economy was actually pretty strong. We had strong low unemployment rate, like record lows, job growth, consumer spending was very high. I think the Fed wanted to bring the economy into a mild recession, which may happen later this year, but that really didn't happen last year. So housing was kind of the outlier in terms of it was the toughest performing part of the economy last year, unfortunately. So that's kind of the backdrop of what we had to work with last year. How did that impact our business and brokerage?
Well, from the brokerage side, which is kind of the engine that drives the organization, it was that ice water that hit us in the face mid-year. And overall, and we're coming, of course, it's all relative because we're coming off crazy 2020 and 21, so we're coming off into the normal market. But we'll wind up, the statistics for our markets that we're in will wind up being off about 14% in number of homes sold compared to 21, and about 9% in values. It will be off a little more in Northwest. Northwest was off about 17% in homes sold. It's because the second home market settled first and the fastest, and they started settling actually in the second quarter of last year, whereas the rest of the market was a little bit later. So now, but that is a tale of two extremes, in that the last quarter number of home sales were off about 30%. We wound up with 6.1 billion in sales and about 18,500 plus transactions, which we dropped below that 20,000 mark we've been at for a number of years, but still, in historical perspective, still a pretty good real estate year. And what was really great about it was that about half of all of our realtors had the same or better year in 22 than they did in 21, in a year that had a significant drop. So that says a lot about all of our collective efforts and your collective effort.
On the affiliate side in our various departments, it was kind of a mixed year. The businesses that are most affected by mortgage rates and the housing market, mortgage, Genesis Mortgage, Capital Title Insurance, one all declined somewhat. Insurance One about 16%, to John Adams about 27%. The mortgage industry actually declined between 40 and 50%. So our 27% was relatively better than the industry. We certainly gained market share, and that was mostly because we're not a refi first company. We focus more on purchase business, which was not off as much as refis. And we've also done a number of things to grow John Adams, adding some branches and so forth. But the other businesses that we were in, that some of our other departments did surprisingly well this past year. Customer care actually had a record year in volume. Units were down a little bit, but volume was the most ever. So that was strong. Franchises, which certainly are impacted by mortgages as well, their volume was about even with last year. Our relocation client services department was only off about 3%. And Rental Management One and Relocation America and our investment business was all up this past year. So a lot of our departments did great this past year. Unfortunately, the largest of our businesses, real estate, mortgage, title, and insurance, were most impacted by the higher rates and the market. First of all, I do want to thank all of you for your support of our affiliates, support of John Adams and Capital Title and Insurance One and Rental Management One. We appreciate that support. Our NPS scores for our affiliates increased this past year, and our participation rate held or actually increased with many of our affiliates. So we thank you for that support. Dan, other accomplishments this past year you want to talk about?
Yeah, I think one of the things is that first of all, we're talking about the percentage down that we've seen in a lot of markets. That being said, one of the things when you have a market shift, you've got to react to it. And you react to it by watching your expenses, but you also react to it by finding revenue and growing. It's how you don't grow your way out of a slowdown by saving money. You grow it out by adding. So we did that this year. We added a number of brokers, starting with actually at the end of 21, but really this is the first full year, is the MBA group out of Groseal. We then followed up with Port Huron, where we combined Bauer Reno and Steve Adams and his franchise organization together. And now we moved up to number 2 in that position for Port Huron. And we try to be, our goal is to be either 1 or 2 in each of the sub-markets. We're number 1 across all markets, but each sub-market, it gives each realtor the best opportunity for success when there's a lot of support and signs in the market. So we try to do that. So we're number 2 in Port Huron now. We then added strength and the gross points with Real Estate One of the Points, and brings us to now we're number 2 with J&J in that market as well. And finally, in Clarkston with Tom Wilhelm and his group, and that enhanced our number 1 position there. So all told, it's 150 salespeople and probably 250 million in volume. It was a nice addition to it. Plus our Sterling Heights office. And in terms of other programs, I guess segueing into the affiliate side is the bridge loan program, the things that we did that to enhance business, to unstick the market. Bridge loan, good to go cash offer, turning your mortgage buyers into cash buyers, and of course House Hop. All were programs that a lot of you used very effectively to bridge that seller who needed to buy, et cetera, and create a number of transactions that probably wouldn't have existed without those programs. So,
well, also another acquisition or merger and acquisition that we just actually closed on yesterday, as a matter of fact, effective January 1st, was the Michigan Title Insurance Agency, a wonderful insurance title agent located in Taylor, Michigan, about 30 employees, over 3,000 transactions. They are now part of the Real Estate One family of companies. So Michigan Title folks that are watching this video, welcome to the Real Estate One family of companies. Glad to have you with us. A great organization, and have some expertise that will be very beneficial to us as we move forward. Also, John Adams expanded their branches, their THL branches, Total Home Lending branches. I added loan officers, and again, one of the reasons why we outperformed the market this past year in the mortgage business. The corporate move, of course, that was a big accomplishment here to our new location here in Southfield. Those of you that have not had a chance to stop by our office here, please do. Dan will give you a personalized guided tour. It's really a great facility. It's actually 40% smaller, less space than our old building. So we're saving a lot on rent, which is great.
Very good.
But a great layout. Tricia Beiser and Kevin Donovan and many others worked extremely hard, probably about a year and a half on this project. And I think everybody's happy that we're here. And so that was a major accomplishment last July. The Charitable Foundation, the Reinhardt Charitable Foundation, Real Estate One Charitable Foundation, Max Brook Charitable Foundation, collectively we raised over $1 million this past year, which is absolutely fantastic. And of course, I want to thank Jennifer Esrae, who runs the foundation. She worked extremely hard, and it was a huge goal that she had. But mostly, I want to thank all of you for your donations, for your support, for your fundraisers. We did countless number of fundraisers throughout the branch network and providing lots of funds, well-needed funds for great organizations throughout Michigan. We are a caring company, and giving back to the community is a way we can show we care about the community. So a big success there. And then top workplaces. We were number 2 again. I think that's the 3rd year in a row.
Plant Moran.
To Plant Moran has been number 1. No shame there. Plant Moran is an excellent company. They're our public accounting company as well. But we're very proud to be number 2 in the entire state of Michigan for large companies. And as we always have said, I mean, being a top workplace company is all about all of you, all of our sales associates and employees, creating an environment in each of our locations to be a top workplace company. So thank you all. Congratulations to all of you. Something we should all be very proud of, to be top workplace number 2 in the state. So those are some of our accomplishments this past year. Anything else we should add?
No, I think our outlook for this year coming up is, I think, more of the same in terms of the market that we're in now is, I think, the market we anticipated being. Probably not selling, at least the market probably won't have as many homes sold in 22 as it had or 23 as it had in 22, because the market is still adjusting and settling. And also, to a point we made earlier, first half of last year was a pretty strong year. So comparing the first half of this year to that, and actually it'll probably, the statistics and the numbers you see in the market they're going to look very negative. It really isn't negative. The market isn't changing. It's not worse now than it was necessarily in December. It's just that, statistically it's going to look that way. But we can anticipate probably much the same market, and therefore exercising our skills in this market throughout the rest of the year.
I think that much of it will depend on inflation. That's been the big problem for the economy. And the economists that I listen to expect inflation to come down to 3 to 4% by the end of the year, which would be great. I know their goal is to get it to 2%. That may not happen this year, maybe next year, but certainly a decline to 3 or 4% will be very beneficial to our business, to mortgage rates and so forth. I think we'll probably see a mild recession. At least most economists say that maybe the second half of the year. I don't know if that's going to have necessarily a big impact on us. Our business essentially is in a recession as it is. The unemployment rate, they're expecting to go up slightly, but not much. So I don't think we're going to have a problem there. So in terms of home sales, Dan, you're expecting about the same or a little bit of a decline this year?
I think a decline in home sales. Depends on, interest rates will depend on how much that changes. But I think we'll have a decline. It might be as much as 10% over last year. Again, that's not different than the pace of sales we're at now. So that's not necessarily a negative statement. That's the statistics. But I think the pace that we're at now, lack of inventory will continue. The homes that are updated and ready to sell are still going to sell within 10 days. We're still running at a third of our transactions, multiple offers. So I think those things, it'll continue to be a tale of two markets. Those homes that everyone wants, that are updated and all, will sell really fast to the rest of the market. will sit. That's been the case. It's just that the market will be lean more towards the larger portion of the homes sitting in the market a little longer. We're saying weeks and a month or two, not multiple months. So it'll still feel like a pretty strong market to the buyers who are out there.
Well, affordability should improve a little bit because prices may settle somewhat, and then mortgage rates, which again have been, a big issue for us. There's not doesn't seem to be a lot of consensus from economists of where mortgage rates are going, but if you kind of average everything, I'd say that rates are probably going to tend to slide downward a little bit. I think we'll see the rates will always go up and down, but I think the general trend will be to slide maybe into the fives. I think we'll see 5s and 6s next year for rates. I don't think we're going to see 4s, but I also don't think we're going to see 7s either. So I think the average mortgage rate will be a little bit lower than it has been this past year. And that in combination with maybe a little bit softer market for prices should make housing more affordable.
And sellers or buyers rather will recalibrate. So will sellers too, but buyers will recalibrate. They've been sitting on the fence and they'll readjust. And as a company, I think what that means is that we'll be doing what we've been doing the last year. We'll continue to look for acquisitions. I think there'll be a number of those opportunities for us to bring good realtors and brokers into our market.
Maybe to kind of wrap things up
Yeah.
here, Dan, and with this downturn, we never want to let a good recession go to waste, right?
Yeah, that's true.
So we've learned some things. I think we've become a leaner company, a little more efficient, and most importantly, I think devoting more of our resources towards revenue generation. If it's not going to help us generate revenues, help make our agents more productive, then it's probably not important for us to spend money on that. So that's going to be a big focus, and it's also a time to gain market share, right? I mean, that's
for over 90, going on 93 years now, we've always gained our most of our growth is coming out of and through and out of a change in the market. So we anticipate for a company, this is our opportunity, and for each individual, particular realtors out there, that is your opportunity as well. As we said before, our competition will probably not move quick enough. Dust off the skills that you haven't been able to use for the last 2 years. In many cases, we've been sort of order takers, and the pricing and marketing and conversation and market information skills that we all have, and grab that opportunity. Because what will happen is you may not necessarily see the fruits of that over the next year, but as the market improves, and it will improve steadily going forward into 24, you'll see that energy compound itself. And when your buyers start jumping off the fence and your sellers as well, you'll see a huge jump in business as long as you keep track of them and follow them. So this is a great opportunity.
okay. Any further comments, Dan?
Great.
All right. Well, thank you all for watching this video, and thank you all for an excellent year in 22. And we're looking forward to another solid year in 2023. Thank you.